Today, I'm starting a brand new series, and in this series, I'm going to be simulating the next 10 seasons in Formula 1 by doing one season per video and telling you literally every single thing that happens in this season. I will be telling you guys the top 10 in every single race. Every 5 races, I'll be giving you drivers, constructors, and car performance updates, telling you what the driver transfers are, showing you driver overalls, and so much more. Hello everybody, what's going on? Chris here, otherwise known as CFRacing, and sorry this video is coming out just a little bit later than a normal Sunday or Saturday that I upload. Is that this took a lot more time than I thought to actually edit. So today I am simulating the next 10 seasons of Formula 1. This is going to be in my team. I'm going to have an 11 team, which is just going to be last the entire time, just so I can really watch what's going on throughout the entire 10 years. I'll be tracking, like I said in the intro, all the driver transfers, every single race, car performances. Going to be giving you guys live standings updates and telling you, especially if there is a title fight, I'll be definitely on that just to see how close these title fights can be. With that being said, guys, hit that like button, subscribe, and I'm going to have 2 videos of this series out this week. So stay tuned for that and enjoy 2024. McLaren get off to an amazing start in 2024 with Lando Norris taking his first ever Formula 1 race win in Bahrain. Also want to say, to get to 2024, I did have to simulate 2023 and Charles Leclerc was a champion, so I love when he wins when I'm not recording, that's the best. But Norris takes the win in Bahrain with Alonso in P2 and Oscar Piastri in P3. Verstappen finished 4th, followed by Charles Leclerc 5th, Carlos Sainz 6th, Lance Stroll 7th, Hamilton 8th, Gasly 9th, Perez 10th, Norris had fastest lap, and he also had pole position. Race 2 in Saudi Arabia was a win for Fernando Alonso, his first win since 2013. What a time, with Lando Norris in P2 and George Russell in P3. Piastri in 4th, followed by Sergio Perez 5th, Hamilton 6th, Sainz 7th, Lance Stroll 8th, Charles Leclerc 9th, Ocon 10th, and Norris had the fastest lap and pole position. Race 3 in Australia was won by Lando Norris, making him a 2-time race winner this year, with Charles Leclerc in P2 and Lewis Hamilton in 3rd. Perez finished 4th, followed by Carlos Sainz, Fernando Alonso, Lance Stroll, Alexander Albon, Gasly, Ocon 9th, Gasly 10th, Norris had fastest lap, and Piastri actually started from pole. Race 4 in China was won by Oscar Piastri, followed by George Russell P2 and Lando Norris in 3rd. Hamilton was 4th, followed by Sergio Perez, Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc 7th, Sainz 8th, Lance Stroll 9th, Albon 10th, Russell had fastest lap, and Russell had pole position. The sprint race in Baku was won by Oscar Piastri, good for him, with Verstappen in P2 and George Russell P3. Charles Leclerc was P4, followed by Fernando Alonso, Sergio Perez P6, Gasly 7th, and Albon P8. The main race in Baku was actually won by George Russell, so here we go. We got Mercedes winning in this sort of new season, with George Russell winning, with Hamilton in P2. That's a 1-2 for Mercedes, and Max Verstappen in 3rd. Lando Norris finished 4th, followed by Oscar Piastri in 5th, Sergio Perez 6th, Alonso 7th, Albon 8th, Charles Leclerc 9th, Pierre Gasly 10th. Piastri had the fastest lap and the pole position. This is what the driver standings look like after Baku. 5 races in, we have our Drivers' Championship update here, with Lando Norris first, 27 points ahead of Oscar Piastri, and then it really is pretty close for the rest of the grid. We have George Russell in 3rd with Alonso 4th, Hamilton 5th, Sergio Perez is 6th with Charles Leclerc 7th, and Max Verstappen in 8th. Carlos Sainz is in 9th with Lance Stroll in 10th, Albon's 11th with Gasly 12th, Esteban Ocon 13th, and Kevin Magnussen 14th, the first driver not to score any points. In 15th, we have Logan Sargent. Pretty good start to the year for him, even though Albon's got 10 points. Zhou's in 16th, Daniel Ricciardo in 17th, Tsunoda 18th, Valtteri Bottas 19th, and to wrap out the grid, we have Nico Hülkenberg in dead last. Driver standings after the first 5 races look like this, with McLaren on top with 169 points, nice, with Mercedes P2 and Red Bull P3. Aston Martin's in 4th, with Ferrari actually having a really bad season so far in 5th. Williams are doing good in 6th, Alpine 7th, Haas 8th, AlphaTauri 9th, Alfa Romeo are in P10 and dead last. Race 6 in Miami was won by Lando Norris with Oscar Piastri P2 and Max Verstappen P3. George Russell finished 4th, followed by Alonso in 5th, Sainz in 6th, Gasly 7th, Hamilton 8th, Perez 9th, Stroll had the fastest lap, and Piastri had pole and the fastest lap. Interesting. 7 in Imola was also won by Lando Norris, and he's getting off to a great title lead so far as he wins in Imola with Hamilton in 2nd and Max Verstappen in 3rd. George Russell finishes 4th, followed by Oscar Piastri, Lance Stroll, Carlos Sainz, Fernando Alonso, Sergio Perez 9th, Albon 10th, Hamilton had fastest lap, and Lando Norris started from pole. Race 8 in Monaco was won by Lando Norris with Piastri in P2 and Lewis Hamilton in 3rd. George Russell finished 4th, followed by Fernando Alonso 5th, Sergio Perez 6th, Max Verstappen 7th, Sainz 8th, Gasly 9th, Stroll 10th. Fastest lap goes to Lando Norris, and pole position goes to Lewis Hamilton. Race 9 in Spain was won by Lando Norris again. Wow, he is dominating so far, with Piastri in P2 and Verstappen in P3. Carlos Sainz finished 4th, followed by Lewis Hamilton, Sergio Perez, George Russell, Fernando Alonso, Charles Leclerc finally getting back in the points, with that Ferrari being an absolute boat. Lance Stroll's 10th, Verstappen had fastest lap, and Carlos Sainz had pole position. Going into round 10 in Barcelona, this is what the pecking order looks like in terms of car performance. Red Bull actually now has the fastest car. They just had an upgrade from Spain into Canada, or going into Spain, sorry. Aston Martin is in second with McLaren third. Sort of how it is, even though McLaren looks like they are dominating right now, so yeah. And that kind of works as Max Verstappen wins in Canada with Sergio Perez P2 and Piastri P3. George Russell finished 4th, followed by Lando Norris 5th, Carlos Sainz 6th, Hamilton 7th, Alonso 8th, Stroll 9th, Gasly 10th. Sainz had fastest lap and Verstappen had pole. And who would have thought it would have taken till Canada, race 10, for Verstappen to win a race? Because I would not have thought that in 2024. After round 10 in Canada, this is what the driver standings look like. We got Lando Norris still way ahead. He's 51 points ahead of Oscar Piastri in P2, and George Russell's kind of carrying the team for Mercedes in P3 by 1 point. He's tied with Verstappen for third. Him and Verstappen are tied. Hamilton's 1 point behind them. So it's a very close fight between the Mercedes drivers. Alonso is in 6th with Perez 7th. Carlos Sainz is ahead of Charles Leclerc in 8th, and Charles Leclerc is in 9th. Lance Stroll still in 10th, Gasly 11th, Albon 12th, Ocon 13th, and still yet to score, and 14th is Kevin Magnussen. Yuki Tsunoda's 15th, Sargent 16, Ricciardo 17, Nico Hülkenberg's 18, Zhou Guanyu's 19, and Valtteri Bottas is still in dead last. In the Constructors' Championship, McLaren are getting quite a big lead now ahead of Mercedes, with Mercedes 2nd and Red Bull's 3rd. Aston Martin's 4th with Ferrari 5th. Alpine passed Williams there in 6th. Williams is in 7th. Haas is 8th. AlphaTauri's 9th, and Alfa Romeo are still in dead last. The Austrian sprint race was actually won by Lewis Hamilton, with Perez in P2 and Verstappen in P3. Russell was 4th, followed by Piastri 5th, Alonso 6th, Sainz 7th, and Gasly 8th. The Austria main race was actually won by Max Verstappen. A little bit interesting there, and I don't know what those dots are on the graphic there. I've never seen that before. With Perez in P2 and Lando Norris in 3rd. Hamilton's 4th, followed by Carlos Sainz in 5th, Alonso 6th, Russell 7th, Piastri 8th, Gasly 9th, Stroll 10th, Perez had fastest lap, and Lewis Hamilton actually started from pole. Race 12 in Silverstone was a home win for Lando Norris, with George Russell P2 and Oscar Piastri P3. I'm telling you, McLaren is unreal this year. Hamilton's 4th, followed by Sainz in 5th, Verstappen 6th, Alonso 7th, Perez 8th, Charles Leclerc 9th, Gasly 10th, Piastri had fastest lap, and George Russell started from pole. 13 in Hungary was Verstappen's 3rd win of the year, with Lando Norris in P2 and George Russell in P3. Hamilton finished 4th, followed by Charles Leclerc 5th, Carlos Sainz 6th, Gasly 7th, Perez 8th, Alonso 9th, Magnussen 10th. No fastest lap, because it was someone outside the top 10, and Oscar Piastri had pole. The sprint race in Spa was won by Sergio Perez, with Verstappen P2 and Lando Norris P3. Gasly was 4th, followed by George Russell 5th, Hamilton 6th, Alonso 7th, and Charles Leclerc P8. The main race in Spa was won by Lando Norris, with Max Verstappen P2 and Lewis Hamilton P3. Sergio Perez is 4th, followed by Charles Leclerc having a nice P5 in that terrible Ferrari, with Kevin Magnussen in the Haas finishing P6. Carlos Sainz 7th, George Russell 8th, Alonso 9th, Nico Hülkenberg in the Haas getting P10. Great race for Haas today. And Lando Norris had fastest lap, and Checo had the pole. Going into the Netherlands round 15, this is what the car performance chart looks like. It is McLaren on top, and then basically everybody else down to Mercedes are all very, very close. Haas had a very big couple of upgrades from Canada to Spa, so good for Haas. That makes them technically 5th overall in terms of car performance right now. Yeah, good for Haas, but McLaren is still miles ahead of everybody else. Race 15 in the Netherlands was won by Charles Leclerc. You love to see it. I believe this is Charles Leclerc's only win this year, so cherish the Charles Leclerc fans, as Piastri finishes in P2 and George Russell finishes 3rd. Hamilton finishes 4th, followed by Lando Norris 5th, Max Verstappen 6th, Perez 7th, Sainz 8th, Alonso 9th, Magnussen 10th, and the fastest lap goes to Piastri, and pole position was George Russell, and yeah, the Ferrari car kind of goes downhill from here. The constructors standings after the Dutch Grand Prix after round 15 is Lando Norris in 1st, with Max Verstappen actually jumping Oscar Piastri for 2nd, 86 points behind Lando Norris. Yeah, it's not very close. With Lewis Hamilton's 4th, George Russell is 5th, Perez 6th, Alonso 7th, Carlos Sainz is 8th, Charles Leclerc's 9th still. He's not very good in these type of simulations, which is kind of crazy considering his stats are actually really good in the game. Lance Stroll's 10th, Gasly is in 11th, Alexander Albon's 12th, K-Mag has 10 points in 13th, Ocon's got 3 points in 14th. In 15th, Nico Hülkenberg has his 1 point, Yuki Tsunoda's in 16th with 0, Sargent 17th with 0, 18th, 19th, and 20th is Zhou, Daniel Ricciardo, and Valtteri Bottas all have 0 points, and clearly the AlphaTauri and the Alfa Romeo are just absolute boats of a car. In the constructors' standings, McLaren's on top, still 123 points ahead of Mercedes, and then it's Red Bull who are getting carried by Verstappen. Ferrari actually jump Aston Martin for 4th with the win by Charles Leclerc, with Aston Martin in 5th, Alpine 6th, Haas move up to 7th, they're tied with Williams for 7th, AlphaTauri is in 9th, and Alfa Romeo still in dead last. Great title fight for last, no points are between them. Race 16 in Monza was won by Lando Norris, and Oscar Piastri finishes P2, with Charles Leclerc on the podium for Ferrari in P3. Alonso finishes 4th, followed by Perez 5th, Sainz 6th, George Russell 7th, Lewis Hamilton 8th, Nico Hülkenberg again in the points at 9th, Lance Stroll 10th, Piastri at fastest lap, and Verstappen started from pole, but he did have a DNF this race. Race 17 in Singapore was won by Oscar Piastri, and I believe this is his first win in it is his first win in Formula 1, besides the sprint race in Qatar in 2023. Good for Oscar Piastri, with Lando Norris P2 and Fernando Alonso P3. Hamilton finishes 4th, followed by George Russell 5th, Sergio Perez 6th, Carlos Sainz 7th, Gasly 8th, Verstappen in 9th, Charles Leclerc 10th, Norris had fastest lap, and Hamilton had pole. Race 18 in Japan was won by Fernando Alonso, with Piastri P2 and Lando Norris P3. Good for Fernando getting 2 wins this year. Verstappen finishes 4th, followed by Hamilton 5th, Russell 6th, Perez 7th, Sainz 8th, Charles Leclerc 9th, Lance Stroll 10th, Piastri had fastest lap, and Fernando Alonso had pole position. The Qatar sprint race was won by Norris, with Russell P2 and Piastri P3, Perez 4th, Charles Leclerc 5th, Max Verstappen 6th, Alonso 7th, and Gasly P8. The Qatar main race was won by George Russell, that's his 2nd win of the year, with Piastri P2 and Max Verstappen P3. Lando Norris finishes 4th, followed by Alonso 5th, Perez 6th, Sainz 7th, Stroll 8th, Gasly 9th, Charles Leclerc P10, Russell had fastest lap, and Norris started from pole. Heading in to round 20, Circuit of the Americas, this is what the pecking order looks like, and McLaren, once again, still ahead of everybody, but Red Bull's now 2nd, Aston Martin's up to 3rd, Mercedes is 4th, and Ferrari has now dropped down to 5th. They had a good run for one race, really, like I said. Haas has dropped out in the order, Alpine's moved up, Williams dropped out, AlphaTauri and Alfa Romeo are still like way behind and dead last. The sprint race in Coda was won by Piastri, with Perez P2 and Verstappen 3rd, Alonso's 4th, Norris 5th, Russell 6th, Hamilton 7th, Lance Stroll is in P8. And the main race in Circuit of the Americas was won by Verstappen, but it wasn't enough for anybody else, as Lando Norris does take his first ever World Drivers' Championship. Congratulations, Lando Norris. He deserved it. He dominated this year. But hey, Verstappen actually won the race, with Piastri P2 and George Russell P3. Hamilton finishes 4th, followed by Perez 5th, Lando Norris 6th, Alonso 7th, Lance Stroll 8th, Charles Leclerc 9th, Carlos Sainz 10th, with Russell fastest lap, and Oscar Piastri on pole. After Circuit of the Americas, here's the driver standings. It is impossible now for anyone else to catch Max Verstappen with 3 races to go. He has an 80, or not Max Verstappen. It's impossible to catch Lando Norris now with 3 races to go, because, you know, like 77 or 78 points are on the table, and Lando Norris is 81 points ahead of 2nd place. So congrats, Lando. You're world champion. Oscar Piastri has moved up to P2 now, and Verstappen is in 3rd. Russell's 4th, Hamilton 5th, Perez 6th, Alonso 7th, Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc P8 and P9. Lance Stroll's just stuck in 10th. I mean, Alonso's got way more points than he does. Gasly's 11th, Albon's 12th, K-Mag is still 13th, and Esteban Ocon's 14th. 15th, we have Nico Hülkenberg with 3 points now, Tsunoda 16th, Sargent 17th, Ricciardo, Zhou, and Bottas 18th, 19th, 20th, all with no points because their cars suck. The Constructors' Championship is also over. McLaren are Constructors' Champions, with Mercedes 2nd and Red Bull 3rd. Ferrari still 4th, with Aston Martin 5th, with Aston Martin's actually coming back on them. Alpine is 6th, Haas is 7th, Williams 8th, AlphaTauri is 9th, and Alfa Romeo are in dead last. Also, going into 2025, we do have a regulation change to the chassis and durability department, so this will probably shake up the grid. So teams are definitely going to be preparing for that heading into the next final 3 races. The Brazil sprint race was won by Lando Norris, with Piastri P2 and Alonso P3. George Russell finishes 4th, followed by Hamilton 5th, Perez 6th, Verstappen 7th, and Gasly P8. The race in Brazil was won by Lando Norris, wow, with Piastri P2 and Alonso P3. I'm telling you, Lando Norris fans are going to love this whole simulation. They're going to love it. They're going to love it. So guys, Lando Norris fans, subscribe. Russell's 4th, followed by Perez 5th, Hamilton 6th, Max Verstappen 7th, Gasly 8th, Charles Leclerc 9th, Sainz 10th, Norris had fastest lap and pole. The race in Vegas, race 22, penultimate race of the year, was won also by Lando Norris with Piastri P2 and Max Verstappen P3. Sergio Perez was 4th with Russell 5th, Alonso 6th, Lance Stroll 7th, Hamilton 8th, Ocon 9th, Ricciardo 10th, Piastri had fastest lap, and Lando Norris had pole. And in the final race, Abu Dhabi, Lando Norris takes his 12th race win of the year, it wasn't even close, with George Russell in 2nd and Hamilton in 3rd. Perez finishes 4th, followed by Piastri 5th, Max Verstappen 6th, Gasly 7th, Alonso 8th, Sainz 9th, Stroll 10th, Russell had fastest lap, and Lando Norris had pole position. Alrighty, now it's time to take a look at the final standings. As we know, Lando Norris did win the world champion and becomes a one-time world champion. With Piastri finishing 2nd, he takes P2. Good for McLaren taking a 1-2. And Max Verstappen does finish in 3rd. George Russell was 2 points behind Verstappen, so he's 4th. With Hamilton in 5th, not with 363 points. He had 263 points. Sorry for that. With Sergio Perez in 6th, Alonso in 7th. Carlos Sainz was in 8th. He actually beat Charles Leclerc, but Charles Leclerc, oh my god, the amount of DNFs he had that year was crazy. He finished 9th, and Lance Stroll finished 10th with 50 points. In 11th, we have Gasly with 43, Albon 12th with 11, Kevin Magnussen finished 13th, Ocon finished 14th, Hülkenberg 15th, Ricciardo did end up scoring 1 point for AlphaTauri, that's their only point of the year, he finished 16th, Tsunoda was 17th, Bottas was 18th, Sargent with 19th, and Zhou Guanyu finished in dead last. In the Constructors' Championship, McLaren come out on top with 843 points, wow, with Mercedes in 2nd, and they had a pretty good fight with Red Bull, but Red Bull did end up losing. Aston Martin did beat Ferrari to 4th, with Ferrari in 5th, Alpine was 6th, Haas was 7th, Williams 8th, AlphaTauri 9th, and Alfa Romeo finish in dead last. So guys, now we're going to take a look at the driver transfers heading into 2025, and then let's wrap up the video. And heading into 2025, this is the driver transfers. Daniel Ricciardo and Nico Hülkenberg are driving for Alfa Romeo. We got Albon and Tsunoda now at AlphaTauri. Ocon and Zhou Guanyu are at Alpine. Lance Stroll and Fernando Alonso are still at Aston Martin. We still got Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz at Ferrari. Liam Lawson and Logan Sargent are now at Haas. Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri are still retained at McLaren, with George Russell and Pierre Gasly at Mercedes, with Hamilton retiring. Sergio Perez and Verstappen are at Williams, and Kevin Magnussen and Théo Pourchaire are at Williams. So guys, let me know what you think about these driver rankings and driver transfers. They're pretty interesting so far. We also do have the overalls going into next season, as Verstappen and Charles Leclerc are the top 2 highest drivers on the grid, with Norris in 3rd and George Russell in 4th. Carlos Sainz is a 91 overall, with Perez as an 89. Gasly's also an 89. Albon is an 87. Esteban Ocon's an 87, with Piastri an 86. Good for him. Daniel Ricciardo's an 86 overall. Tsunoda's an 84. Lance Stroll's an 83. Zhou is an 82. Kevin Magnussen's an 82. Hülkenberg's an 81, with Logan Sargent at 76. Drugovich, he's a free agent. Jack Doohan's a free agent. Dennis Hauger's also a free agent. Théo Pourchaire in the Williams is a 74 overall, and I believe he's going to be the lowest rated driver heading in to 2025. So with that being said, guys, hope you did enjoy and you want to see more like this, more videos like this. Hit that like button, subscribe, share with your friends, and leave your predictions for the 2025 season in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys